Matt Armstrong is known for rebuilding sports cars, but this time, for what might be the first and last time, he's taking on one of the most expensive cars on the planet, a 2023 Rolls-Royce Wraith. And not just any Wraith. This is a Mansory-modified Wraith from the German tuning house, a car that makes absolutely zero financial sense to buy wrecked. But if you're Matt Armstrong, that's exactly the point. Before we get into it, make sure you're subscribed to Aboyos. Let's go. What even is the Mansory Wraith? The Rolls-Royce Wraith is the brand's younger model, a coupe with 4 seats. Under the hood sits the same monster engine that powers every Rolls-Royce, a twin-turbo V12, 6.6 litres, 625 horsepower, 850 Newton-meters of torque. The drivetrain comes straight from BMW, as usual. Matt picked this one up at an online auction for £184,000. The previous owner, none other than Marcus Rashford, Manchester United striker, who originally bought this car for $900,000. The Mansory conversion alone nearly doubled the price of an already insane car. He drove it just 1,500 miles before an elderly woman crossed his path at night. The car hit her at speed. Total loss. 0 miles on the rebuild clock. First look at the damage. Matt goes to collect the car from storage, and it's immediately clear there is something wrong from every single angle. No front bumper, no umbrella in the door. Rear wheel missing, the rim is split clean in 2. He calls a flatbed. The car gets loaded up. From the outside, it looks massive for a coupe. The rear end is going to be an absolute nightmare. The front isn't going to be easy either. And the biggest problem? Mansory means carbon fibre. Everywhere, custom carbon fibre panels, which means custom prices. He received some of the broken parts that were shipped from England, Rolls-Royce's home country, which has its own regulations around salvage titles. He'd tried to rebuild a Rolls before and failed. Here's the thing about Rolls-Royces that insurance companies write off. They get classified under a category that essentially means scrap. Even if the car is fixable, it can't legally be driven on public roads again under that classification. Buying one requires a specific license he doesn't have. But the Mansory version? Different story. It doesn't carry that classification, which is why the insurance company was able to auction it off at a high price. It's not officially written off. That's the loophole Matt is working with. First job, get the engine running. Matt checks the battery in the boot first. Rolls-Royce is BMW owned, so the safety systems are similar. The pyro fuse, the safety fuse that cuts power after a crash, he checks it. It's fine. There's power to the interior. He tries to start the engine. Nothing. He grabs an external charger and tries again. The engine turns over, just barely. A small, audible rotation. He suspects the starter motor. He hooks up a diagnostic scanner but finds nothing useful. Every code is related to airbags and safety systems. He brings in a more powerful charger. Still the same result. Won't fire. The auction listing stated the engine was sound and working. Matt lifts the front end and manually rotates the crankshaft pulley by hand to verify there's no mechanical obstruction. The engine turns freely, so it's not a seized motor. He calls a contact for advice. There's a relay in the boot, a cutout that disconnects the circuit if battery voltage drops below a threshold. The suggestion, place a strong magnet over the relay to bypass it and restore the circuit. He tries it. Still, nothing. He connects 2 external chargers simultaneously, one to the car's body, one directly to the battery terminals. Nothing. He tries to jump-start it from a second battery. No luck. He checks the fuses under the bonnet. The scanner isn't giving him clear steps to follow. He calls the auction house to confirm whether the engine was genuinely running when they sold it and asks for the contact details of whoever started it last. The response? We'll be in touch. Voltages across the battery terminals are perfect. He lets his dad have a go, just in case. The car makes a startup sound but won't complete the cycle. Then Matt tries something different. He pushes the brake pedal down hard while pressing start, like cold start procedure on high-performance BMW engines. The engine fires. He does the famous coin balance trick on the engine. Even after all this, the V12 is smooth as silk. But when he shuts it off, it won't start again without the brake trick. Something is still off. The full damage inspection. With the car in the garage, Matt starts pulling everything off. Underneath, the subframe has taken a severe hit. Exhaust pipes crushed. The Mansory custom exhaust, worth well over $200,000 as a full system. Fuel tank cracked badly. Suspension arms completely destroyed. Aluminium construction. Rear subframe bent. A coupling has disappeared entirely from its mount. Behind that, the air suspension reservoir. This is a full air suspension system, not coilovers. Two main problems stand out above everything else: the Mansory carbon fibre body panels and structural damage to the chassis. Parts availability is going to be a nightmare. There's no second-hand market for this stuff. And ordering new parts directly from Mansory? Absolute nightmare pricing. He reaches out to them. They have no stock for this model. Everything is made to order, with up to 2 months lead time. A carbon fibre frame? $2,000. The logo alone? $1,300. Side sill? $3,000. Even the pedals have astronomical prices. That's Mansory's whole identity. Completely irrational. The smart move: buying a second Rolls. Every time Matt removes a part and sees its condition, the same thought keeps coming back. Just buy a complete donor car. Pre-facelift Wraith models have dropped significantly in price. You can find them in the $100,000 range now, which means he's essentially trading one massive problem for another, but at least one that comes with all the parts he needs. Without hesitation, he goes for it. He buys a 2015 Rolls-Royce Wraith with 400,000 kilometers on it in excellent condition for £97,000. This is the kind of move that's only possible when you're making YouTube content about it. Nobody strips a perfectly working Rolls-Royce to fix a broken one. Nobody. But here's the thing. The donor car's body panels are steel, not carbon fibre. That's the Mansory difference. The Mansory panels have priority in the rebuild. Stripping the donor, Matt goes through the working Wraith completely. Front and rear subframes out, engine support arms removed, suspension stripped. The air suspension setup is complex. Coil springs are replaced with airbags fed by a compressor, pressurized reservoir, sensors, and control valves. Designed purely for comfort. You won't find this on the sport versions. He pulls the cracked engine mount from the wrecked car and transfers the intact one from the donor. Hydraulic line runs transferred. Subframe dropped back into position under the Mansory car. Bolt pattern lines up perfectly. A good sign. If the chassis had any deformation, those bolts wouldn't have aligned. Suspension rebuilt from the good car. Brake discs and calipers fitted. He notices a small spacing difference between the caliper and rotor. The newer model's disc fits better, so he swaps to that. Upper mounts bolted in. Front end reconstruction. The front subframe took a direct hit and the structure is crumpled. He strips out the radiator, disconnects everything, and prepares the frame for repair. The front sections are steel, welded and riveted to the aluminium structure. The upper section is intact. He avoids disturbing the aluminium rivets as much as possible. They're a pain to reinstall. Using a cut-off disc, he breaks the welds. A chisel separates the layers. The front section gets cut free from the crash structure. New rivet holes drilled. Primer applied to all contact surfaces. The new panel is positioned, adhesive applied to the aluminium contact surface, and everything is pressed together. Using an electric rivet gun, much faster than the manual version he had on the BMW M5 build, he works through every rivet point across the new panel. Hours of work. But the result is excellent. He sands everything down, masks the engine, sprays primer over all the weld areas, fills any gaps, and sprays a colour-matched coat. The front structure is done, the ghost system, and starting the car properly. Rashford reaches out after watching part 1 and reveals what's been causing the start problem all along. The car has an aftermarket electronic anti-theft system called Ghost, a series of specific button presses and movements that must be performed in sequence before the engine will start. Without it, the car behaves as if you don't have the key. Matt performs the sequence off-camera. He hits start. The engine fires normally. First time, every time. Rear quarter, the hardest part. The rear quarter panel is partially split from the body. Matt attempts to straighten it first, before committing to a full replacement. The rear structure is steel, so pressure alone can reshape it. He works at it slowly, and it moves. The panel is salvageable. The section behind it isn't. That gets cut away and replaced. He closes the bonnet. The bolts line up squarely on their apertures, always a good sign that the chassis geometry is correct. Headlight bracket refitted and secured. The Mansory front grille assembly that came with the car is completely intact. He fits the grille, connects the wiring. The illuminated mesh grille, not standard on the base Wraith, usually reserved for the Ghost and Spectre models, looks absolutely menacing. Spirit of Ecstasy mechanism reinstalled. Carbon fibre bonnet cover on. The front of this car is beginning to look extraordinary. Door. The donor car's door comes across. On a Wraith, the door is suicide style and it weighs 100 kilograms. Matt hangs it on the hinges. It slots perfectly, aligned to within millimeters of where it should be, as if it came from the factory. He takes the car out for a quick test run. The air suspension rises as it should, but the brakes are still soft. Back in the garage, he connects the ABS computer and forces all the valves open to purge the remaining air from the brake circuit completely. After another full bleed, the pedal is rock solid. Interior. The rear cabin door cards from the donor are transferred across. Rear seats reinstalled, worth up to $50,000 from Rolls-Royce directly. Interior trim pieces all refitted. The Starlight headliner, the signature Rolls-Royce touch, goes back in from the front. Control buttons, pillar trims, rear carpets. The Mansory custom interior liner for the boot is installed. Door cards fitted with all connectors. One small problem: the boot lid isn't closing flush. The latch mount is sitting slightly too high. He adjusts the mount position. It closes perfectly. Airbag light and headrest issue. The airbag warning light stays on after the engine starts. He tries to clear the code from the diagnostic computer. It won't clear. He also notices the headrest is pushing forward automatically. Rolls-Royce engineering. In a crash, the headrest actively moves toward the occupant's head to stabilize it before the airbags deploy. It's connected to the pre-tensioner circuit. He pulls the headrest assembly from the donor car, transfers the mechanism across, swaps the pre-tensioner unit, and reinstalls everything. Rear bodywork. Mansory carbon fibre. The new carbon fibre rear quarter panel arrives from Mansory. He pulls the door lock mechanism from the donor, mounts the bracket, and fits the carbon panel. It sits beautifully. One of his viewers had sent him the correct Rolls-Royce umbrella to replace the one that was missing from the door. People are incredible. Side sill goes on. $9,000 for a single sill. He adjusts a minor fit issue at the front edge, mounts the lock bracket, and it closes cleanly. Rear bumper. He ordered a Mansory unit with LED fog lights, styled like Formula One car diffusers. $9,500. No pre-drilled sensor holes, so he cuts and fits them himself, installs the metal mounting rings, adhesive for the diffuser, and gets the bumper locked into position. Exhaust system. Full Mansory exhaust was off the table. Over $15,000 for the complete system. Instead, he installs a custom system from Quicksilver, a UK-based exhaust specialist. Different X-pipe routing, but engineered properly. Heat shields fitted, connecting pipes aligned, chassis brackets tightened. He fits an external valve controller, connected back to the fuse box, so he can open and close the exhaust valve remotely from his phone. When he opens that valve on a Rolls-Royce V12, the sound transformation is absolutely insane. From whisper-quiet luxury to something that sounds genuinely dangerous. Final details. Multiple electronic modules are transferred from the donor car and reprogrammed to match the Mansory Wraith's computer. Everything is coded and synced. He takes the car out for a proper drive. The Starlight roof is something else. The air suspension glides. The V12, with that valve open, sounds like nothing else on the road. A minor air suspension sensor fault shows up on track, a small issue with one of the airbag sensors. He recalibrates the suspension sensors and clears it. The road trip. With the rebuild complete, Matt doesn't just park it, he drives it. 1,000 kilometers to Monaco for a weekend, arguably the most car-obsessed place on Earth. He fits a roof tent via suction mount rated to 50 kilograms and sleeps on top of the Rolls-Royce. Then he heads to Stelvio Pass in Italy, one of the most iconic mountain roads in the world. He spends a night camping at altitude, on the roof of a Mansory Rolls-Royce, then Germany. Mansory HQ. He meets Kourosh Mansory himself, the founder of the most famous tuning company in the world. The reaction is a mix of admiration and sarcasm at various details. But in the end, Mansory tells Matt he considers him part of the Mansory family, unofficially. They add a few finishing touches. A painted pinstripe running the length of the car, the Mansory name along the side panel, and a final carbon fibre piece to complete the look. Matt Armstrong just completed one of the most insane builds in YouTube history. Total cost, over £300,000. Build time, over 6 months. A wrecked Mansory Rolls-Royce Wraith, refused by the factory, written off by insurance, bought for parts. Rebuilt, driven to Monaco, taken to the Alps and delivered personally to the man who originally built it. That's it for this one. Let us know in the comments. What car should Aboyos take on next? Subscribe. See you on the next build.